you. Thank you for the great introduction. I feel like an expert.
Yes. After 10 years, I think that's the least we can
I'm an
say.
expert, yes.
That's the least we can say. As I just said, digital product passports,
Yes.
DPPs, we heard about it yesterday, we heard about it this morning. At the same time, I think it's also important not to assume that everybody knows exactly what it is. Some of you might do, but some of you maybe don't, and that's also what Metamorphosis is about. It's also about learning, lower the barriers. So let's start with the beginning, set the stage. Digital product passports. What is it and what can we expect from it?
I don't know. Just kidding. So to start with, thank you very much for inviting me, first thing, and thank you all for coming. Apologies to those amongst of you who are experts in the field or know very well what it is. So I will be start very basically on this topic. So a DPP is essentially, if you want, like on a very down-to-earth level, a digital record of a set of information that relate to a specific product. And these information are about the composition of the product, so the origin, the provenance of the product, the production processes that were involved, the environmental impact of those processes of the involved supply chain, and a set of other information that are still in the process of being defined by the European Union, because the DPP the DPP is an essential piece of a regulation which is called the Eco-Design for Sustainable Product Regulation, where the DPP is one piece of a broader set of measures that are aimed at transitioning the fashion industry from a linear model to a circular model. So essentially it is a tool for consumers, but not only for consumers, but also for other stakeholders in the system, including authorities, including customs offices, including operators like repair services or recyclers, to access that information to then be in the position of doing something with the product according to
an
what
enabler.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So from the consumer perspective, it is a tool to get empowered about knowing more about the product and making purchase decisions that are hopefully more environmentally friendly. And at the same time, it's a way of nudging the whole system and also the manufacturers to produce in a way, to source, produce, package and distribute the product in a way that is more environmentally friendly. So that is from a very, let's say, straightforward perspective. If we climb the ladder in terms of, sense making and see it from a more strategic point of view, I think the DPP is a foundational tool. I would even say technology, because there is a technology behind that as well that needs to be built, that is necessary really to unlock circularity, and really is an essential piece of the puzzle in as far as it allows to activate one of the most important stakeholders of the whole transformation that we want to achieve, namely the consumer. And if you do that, you can have an effect at scale. So you can have a massive effect, and that is the only way you can really have a transformation going on. Of course, this is part of a just much bigger topic, because to actually get to the DPP, you also have to gather that information, which is not an easy feat. I think we heard that before a little bit. I mean, for smaller brands, it's sometimes challenging, but all in all, relatively feasible. If you know your tier 1, maybe you know your tier 2.
Tier 1, tier 2, we were going to set first the base, what is DPP, so now immediately we take a deep dive.
No, stop me.
So let's go back. So indeed, we all remember part of the regulations coming up. I also remember Ursula von der Leyen saying fast fashion is out of fashion. all of this is set because we want to shift more towards the circular fashion system. If we look one example, for example, resale. What can DPP bring to this specific new business model, or to make it easier or more accessible? How do you see that?
I think the DPP is a key unlock for resale, but not only for resale. I think also for repair and for recycling. But before I answer that, just a quick. I mean, you mentioned Ursula von der Leyen, the new Commission. I hope that the importance given to the whole topic will stay the same also in this new configuration and in this new geopolitical scenario in which we're in. Because my fear is that we might look more into competitiveness of the European businesses rather than to the Green New Deal, so to speak. So I think it will still remain very important. But I hope, in practical terms, that the whole regulation will not get depowered because of the new situation which we're in. Because let's face it, I mean, in the end, what we want to try or what we want to achieve comes with a set of challenges and on burdens on the companies. So that can be a drain to competitiveness. But getting back to
the resale, yes.
Resale. So
because you already have some examples.
Yes, we do have clients that we tag our products. So the products of our clients are tagged with a smart label. So you have a label on those products that have a QR code or an NFC tag. And consumers
Explain an NFC tag.
Sorry?
Explain an NFC tag, maybe?
Okay, right.
Yes,
you're right.
sorry.
I'm so sorry. NFC is near field communication, which is basically a tag that is that you can tap with your mobile phone, and it generates a call to a URL where you can offer services to the consumer.
Because I think that's sometimes a misconception that the digital product passport is a QR code.
No,
it is not.
No, it's a digital record.
That's the trigger linking to the information. Exactly. So it's always important that you look at it that way.
So the NFC tag is a data carrier, basically, or it can point to a data to a data set. Oh my God.
Yeah. Getting back to your example of the resale.
Yeah. So resale. Think of the friction that you have when you want to resell a product. You have to go into your closet, take the product, take the pictures, just write a description, go on eBay, post it on eBay. It takes time. There is a friction. Now imagine you have a product that you have worn for quite a while that has a tag on it. Now you scan the code, okay, and then there is a call to action that says, would you want to resell the product? Just click there, and then you have a precompiled or pre-configured listing already there, on eBay, for example, and you can easily sell the item. And that is possible only because technology providers and solution providers like us are connecting on one hand with the brand, where we get catalog data related to that specific product, which is very accurate, precise. Pictures are very nice and everything. And on the other hand, we are integrated with the e-commerce platform. So we can immediately pre-populate the listing. So all you need to do is basically click, establish the price, maybe add some additional information, and you're done. So what this does is takes away the friction that is inherent in all the current setup of resale. Absolutely. And that if you do that, you enable resale on a massive scale.
It sounds indeed like we would all love to have this easy solution. So what are the barriers? Because of course we see companies moving in this direction, but it's not easy maybe for everybody to integrate it immediately, or where do you see barriers or solutions?
From a brand perspective. Let me first start by saying that in my opinion, from a brand perspective, resale is a huge opportunity. And I think we will look back in 10 years time or whatever and think that it was ludicrous thinking that brands should not, were not participating in the resale market. Because even if you think about it really intuitively, I mean, there is some action going on, some economic action going on after you sold the product for the first time. Yeah. I mean, today, if you're lucky, you sell the product in your owned store or in the store that, your store, And if you're lucky, you're getting the marketing opt-in of the customer.
Yes.
Okay. And then you sold the product and arrivederci. You don't see anything about it's lost, basically. So what happens afterwards in terms of value generation? The brand is completely out of that. So even if you think about this, just intuitively, there is a revenue generation opportunity there. There is an opportunity to create a stronger relationship to the customers, and increasing lifetime value. There's also an opportunity to control your brand messaging and your second-hand market, also in terms of pricing and the perception. So I think it definitely makes sense, and even also to fight counterfeiting, if you think about
of course.
it. Yeah. So even if you think about this this way, just intuitively, it does make sense to get involved. Of course, there are a lot of models that are being tested right now. A few come to mind. There is a peer-to-peer business model where some brands like Patagonia, for example, or Levi's, they are enabling the resale of products amongst their customer base. And that is, of course, working very nicely if you have a very strong community-based business. Okay. Then there is another model where you have branded take-back programs where the brand says, give your product back, and they refurbish the product and resell it maybe at a discount, or maybe with vouchers and things like that. And then and that is like, for example, the model that Arc'teryx uses. Okay? And then there is the model where you have a managed resale business, I would call it, for the lack of a specific term that I think has not been coined yet, which is the model where you use a resale as a service provider or a partner, or directly work with a platform where the whole logistics piece and everything else is basically delegated to the partner. And so coming to your challenges, all of these models have pros and cons, and some challenges there are, for example, if you think of the impact from an operational standpoint, logistics, you have increased complexity in terms of logistics, you have increased complexity related to the authentication of these products, to the quality control, the refurbishment, and so on. So that's one challenge. The other challenge at a more strategic level is really that the business case and the business model isn't quite fully understood, clear. There is it's too early to say that there is a clear ROI. So so this needs to be figured out. Other challenges are related to the fact that you cannot, you have a problem, or you have an issue with cannibalization, for example. If you're from a brand perspective, how do you handle that, right? Okay. And
so it could become a shift of business, but at this moment they still might see it differently.
Yes, because you have to be schizophrenic in a way, because you have your new products and you have your resold products. How do you position that in terms of pricing? That's not easy. And I think that challenge you can address, for example, by elevating the experience of the resale, and catering to maybe higher spenders, and make it an elevated, exclusive experience.
It also gives opportunities for brands that are actually creating products with a long life cycle and a timeless approach. And absolutely.
And then the operational challenge, you can solve that, for example, by partnering with a resale service provider. I would say the third challenge that comes to mind isn't really so much a challenge anymore. It's like the whole perception piece, from the consumer perspective. This, I resell, then is it clean? Is it not clean? I think this is over already. I think this is over. Yeah. I mean, this is
especially next generation see it completely different already.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is also, you mentioned next generation. I mean, from the perspective of the brand, even if there wasn't a clear business case, like a super clear way of making money out of the resale business, even just the fact that newer generations are taking it for granted that you offer this, because you want to contribute to keeping products and materials in circulation for as long as possible. And if you're not doing that as a brand, younger generation will say, "What the heck? What are you doing?" So
no, still a lot to explore. Now I see somebody signaling me that I have to round off, so unfortunately we could continue a little bit longer, that's for sure. The good part is that, as always, our dialogues of change, they do continue. It's very important to talk to each other, understand what did you hear, what is interesting for me or for you. And also all the speakers that you saw this morning, we are all around, very accessible. Just reach out, start these dialogues, and then I'm going to click the slides. And then I will see you back after the break